This is video 25. Hi, this is video 25, and we're going to talk about useless invention. So in this video, yes, I'm going to talk a little bit about useless invention, but more importantly, I want to share you about time management. So you have to pay attention to this video so that at least you can learn the technique to how to or have a gauge how much time you require for each things that you need to do. Now, in my previous video, I think you have seen in program I have spoken candidly about a few of my friends. There was a teacher Lim who invented a torchlight, and the torchlight is supposedly to be a solar torchlight that doesn't have battery. But the trouble is it doesn't work at night, so it's a useless invention, right? I spoke about it, and then he actually fell in what I call a shock syndrome. Then I also spoke about Brad. Brad is a guy who is actually a dreamer, and he has a lot of ideas, about 1,000 ideas, and all his ideas are shallow ideas. He hasn't done any research. He hasn't think through about what he actually want to invent. He has no idea about where his market and what's the market size. He knows nuts about it. So he is also another idiot, another shock syndrome. So so there are a lot of shock syndrome inventor out there. Okay, even in Japan. If you Google the word Chindogu, Chindogu. Chindogu is actually a term used for invention that actually is useless. For example, I think if you read my article, I mentioned two typical funny invention. So this inventor came along, so he has a head, and on the head he has got what we call a toilet roll. So his idea is when you are sneezing, so you just pull down the toilet roll and then you can wipe your nose. But who's going to walk around on the street with the toilet roll on the head? So it's actually very funny, right? Yeah, so it doesn't really solve the problem. I also mentioned about there's one Chindogu invention whereby inventor invented a small umbrella that cover your shoe. So there's two umbrella to cover both feet. But as you know, the rain doesn't come directly. Rain comes from all sides, especially with the wind. So it actually doesn't keep the shoe dry at all. So it's another I call it a stupid invention. But in Japan, it's a country of gadget. They will try to invent anything for everything. So Chindogu actually it causes more problem than solving it, but they really enjoy doing it. All right. So if you read my article, I also mentioned in China, there are also people like that. So this guy called Geng Shui, he got so bored. He actually is a welder. He got so bored with his life, and he gave up his job, and then he went back to a small town outside Beijing, and he started to invent things. So again, his invention actually create more laughter, create more humor than actually solving the problem. So I can remember one of the inventions he invented was, for a guy who sits on a motorbike. All right, so there's a tank. He separate the tank, so one part is for him to fill up the petrol, the fuel, and then the other one is for him to wee. That means instead of going to the toilet, he can pee on the motorbike in that section. So it create a lot of laughter. So why can't a guy park his motorbike and go to the toilet? Why he need to wee into that tank? So only he knows, because he is a creative person. So he invent all kind of funny gadget, and that make people laugh, and he actually was a successful inventor because it make people laugh and people buy his invention. Not for the practical use, but for the laughter, for laughter. So you see, there are many dreamers out there. So I want to separate you from falling into a dreamer. Separate you from a dreamer and a doer. You need to be a doer, not a dreamer. All right. So you need to do a lot of research. So I'm going to talk about time management. three main time management for this stage, right? Of course, you have already done program 1. You have understood how to create a brilliant invention. Now in this program 2, we're going to find money and time, and also we're going to build the invention itself. So the first time management that I need you to do is to focus on 2 areas. The technology itself, that means you need to understand the technology that you're going to develop, the invention that you're going to develop, whether you can build it, whether you have the expert to build it, or you don't have, then you got friends that help you to build it, and then whether that technology is really how to say doable or not, right? So that's one. The second thing is the market. I need you to focus on the market to find out whether if you roll out, where your market section, who will buy from you, what is the market size, and so forth, at what price you want to sell, and so forth. So you need to do research on these 2 areas before you start a project. All right. So typically, I would say you need about 20 hours a week. You may think it's a lot. If you have a Saturday and I'm sure you're working for someone, or you have a day job, right? But if you could spare Saturday and Sunday 8 hours, there's already 16 hours. Then balance 4 hours you have to steal from the 5 days that you have, to get the 4 hours out of it. So you got 20 hours. With that 20 hours, I would say within 2 months you're able to complete this job, this research on the technology and the research on the market. All right. So once you have done that, then you have decided, assuming you decided to move on, then you need to do I call it fundraising. All right. So again, you got to spare this kind of time, 20 hours a week, but for 1 month, at least for 1 month. You got to go out and find out who are the fund manager, who are the one giving out fund for researcher like you to develop from idea to a prototype, right? So there are many outside there. There are many type of way to raise fund, like crowdfunding, or like I would say matching grant. So there are many, right? So again, you got to go out to look for it and apply it as well. Once you know which the fund manager or which method you want to raise a fund, and apply it as well. So that time taken for you to do research until the day you actually deposit or make an application to file to apply for a research grant, that again will typically will take you about 1 month. 1 month. If you spend 20 hours a day, 4 weeks, in 1 month you should be able to complete the job. All right. And then the third thing that I would like you to focus on is once you get the funding and we are ready to do the prototype. I'm talking about constructing the prototype from zero until the proof of concept. Proof of concept means you got to do the demonstration and prove the concept that you have earlier. So again, you have to spend 20 hours a week. This 20 hours a week also is a very disciplined thing. So if you could start from day 1, so by this time you are able to allocate time for yourself for this project. You got to work hard. There's no shortcut, my friend. You have to work very hard. So typically, for my case, to make it work, including those testing, clinical testing, lab tests, or whatever the test, until you have proven right. That means I may run certain tests and it failed and it doesn't reach my expectation. So I got to rerun it again and so forth until I'm happy with it. It takes me 3 months. All right. So at least now I've given you a kind of a time frame for you to work on your project. Of course, when I mention these 3 time management, these are just how to say, because there is no one size fit all, right? So this is just a suggestion. Depending on the type of project you're working on. So I'm just sharing my personal opinion that this kind of time that I require. But I normally spend about 20 hours a week on this project. Of course, I also got my day job. I have to do whatever things that I want to do. But for a new job, for a new project, I spend 20 hours a week. Right. So like I mentioned, the first first job is for you to find out the technology, whether you can develop or not, and also the market size. Once you are happy with that, then you move on to raise fund. To raise fund, you got to know where the money, what kind of method to raise fund and so forth. You spend another 1 more month to do it. Then after that, when you have the money, then you want to build a prototype. Again, you spend 8 hours a week and for 3 months. I'm sure you should able to be successful in building your first prototype. Okay, so I'll see you again in the next video, and we can discuss more. Okay, bye.